Versatile Mage. Chapter 645. Ocean Emperor Tsunami. The Black Vatican wanted Salon alive. They had offered to tell them the location of the Imperial Tomb. The real threat to the city was not the undead that had remained active in the rain, but the other ruler-level undead that would be awakened once the ancestor of undead, Ying Zheng, was fully awakened. Their final glimpse of hope was to locate the Imperial Tomb and stop the ancient king from being resurrected. It would then drive the ocean of undead away. Let them go. Han Ji coldly gave the order. A group of Imperial magicians first led Councilman Zhu Meng out from custody. Zhu Meng looked fairly calm, yet he was slightly disappointed knowing that the higher-ups of the Magic Association had decided to get rid of him together with the others, just to eliminate Salon. The Imperial magician removed the spell controlling Councilman Zhu Meng. The councilman tidied his slightly disheveled beard and glanced at Mo Fan beside him helplessly. "I never thought you would be the one saving my life. I don't think anyone here will have a good ending if either the fish dies or the net splits," said Mo Fan. Who would have thought that the Magic Association would be forced to make a decision like this? Zhu Meng let out a sigh, and somehow looked a lot more aged than he used to. "Saving people is harder than killing," said Mo Fan. Zhu Meng was stunned before he smiled wryly. After Zhu Meng, the rest of the authorities were released one by one. Han Ji did not release them in a random fashion. He actually kept the most suspicious ones for later. When Du Xiao slowly walked up to the crowd after the restrictions on him were lifted, Han Ji raised his hand, signaling his men to halt the process. "You can tell us now." Han Ji's voice was filled with strong murderous intent. As the president of the Magic Association, he was held responsible for every decision he made. If the location of the Imperial Tomb was not the key to saving the lives of millions of people, he would have torn Muhi into pieces long ago. Muhi showed no sign of panic. He took his time walking to the edge of the balcony and stood in front of the cement railings. He cast a glance at Zhang Xiaohou and nodded in satisfaction when he discovered that less black gas was being released from his body. He shifted his gaze into the distance in the north. After a long time, this great deacon Hu Jin still remained silent. Han Ji's murderous intent grew stronger gradually as time went by. "Patient, you will see it very soon, before the night comes." Great Deacon Hu Jin simply stood there with his gaze looking to the north. His gaze was not fixed on the northern gate, but the area beyond the Anyuan gate that was already devoured by the Black Ocean. The area used to be Weiyang District. They could barely see the shadows of some tall buildings standing there with countless zombies, skeletons, and phantoms moving around them. Almost every building had a pair of eyes emitting a red gleam at the top. The owner of those eyes either had a body strong as steel or a body large enough to sway the building. It was likely that even magicians with high positions had never seen so many commander-level creatures showing up simultaneously. The night had almost arrived. The constant rain drifted in the wind. The sky was hazier further into the distance, and no one knew how many creatures were out there, behind the veil of rain and darkness. Around 3 kilometers away from Anyuan Gate, a dark blue tide suddenly appeared between the dark land and the clouds hanging low above the ground. White waves rolled across the air, with howls so loud that the entire inner city could hear them. It felt like a fierce ocean had simply appeared between the sky and the ground. Its magnificence and splendor were breathtaking, like a tsunami a few kilometers wide rolling over the shore. Luckily, the tsunami was not heading toward the inner city. The ocean that was pouring down from the sky was rolling in the direction of the undead. Initially, there was no vacant space around Anyuan Gate, as the whole place was occupied by stacks of undead. However, as the waves rolled forward, thousands of undead were devoured by the shocking tsunami as it traveled further away from Anyuan Gate. The tsunami was a certain distance away from the clock tower, but while it was rolling in the sky and poured down like a few tens of waterfalls, Mo Fan somehow felt like it was happening right in front of him. His astonishment from witnessing a water spell comparable to a tsunami was greater than that he had experienced after witnessing the light spell, Holy Essence, Demon Judgment Sword. Lu Huan is making his move, Zhu Meng said calmly. The captain of the Imperial Magicians? Asked Mo Fan. His strength is on par with Han Ji's. If I were to fight him, I'd lose miserably in less than 10 rounds. He's strong enough to take on the Netherbone ruler alone, said Zhu Meng. As soon as Zhu Meng finished his sentence, a piercing screech came from outside the inner walls. The people in the city immediately covered their ears. Every piece of glass of the buildings inside the barrier shattered into pieces. Mo Fan raised his head and discovered a huge bony creature descending from the clouds. As it dropped below the clouds, it extended its sinister wings fully. The force of its movements simply cleared away the raindrops nearby, as if someone had just thrown a strong punch at the curtain of rain. The raindrops struck the curved golden barrier like arrows. The golden barrier would only stop things that posed a certain level of threat to the city. Normally, the barrier would not stop the raindrops from falling through it, but the raindrops launched by the Netherbone ruler landed crisply on the barrier. How strong exactly was the creature? The Netherbone ruler won't stand there and watch once Lu Huan starts to attack. His super water spell, Ocean Emperor Tsunami, can easily eliminate between 2,000 to 3,000 undead when they are stacked together like that, said Zhu Meng. A super spell, mumbled Mo Fan to himself. The sky was turning darker. The people on the clock tower could barely see Lu Huan flying around in the rain as he fought the Netherbone ruler. Most spells that Lu Huan cast were super level. He adeptly mixed in some advanced spells before channeling the next super spell. The light he was emitting was brighter than the entire troop of magicians on the walls. The energy he produced was enough to blast thousands of undead into nothing. The people standing on the clock tower were authorities, able to cast super spells too. However, no one would dare to fight a ruler undead outside the golden barrier like Lu Huan. The whole city was witnessing Lu Huan's bravery. It brought a glimpse of hope to the city that was currently on the edge of a cliff. Magician, he was a real magician. Even the darkness produced by a calamity was unable to hide his brilliance. Having such a brave imperial magician can be considered a great fortune in the midst of misfortune. It's a pity that there's only one Lu Huan. Great Deacon Hu Jin commented cuttingly. It seems like you're only wasting our time, but it's time for you to die, said Han Ji coldly. It is my time to die indeed. But are you sure you don't want to wait a bit longer? The king's tomb is coming, said Great Deacon Hu Jin. Not long after he finished the sentence, he began to tremble as he saw something in the distance. His voice echoed on the clock tower as it went from a deep chuckle to a wild laugh. It's here, ha ha. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.